Louise, this is your event this morning.
It is, thanks Dan.
Which has been really interesting, very informative and lots of really valid points raised. One of the things I think which is really positive for the industry and the recruitment industry in particular to hear from all parties is that the overwhelming feeling appears to be that a lot of the supply chain are looking at a case-by-case basis rather than taking a blanket option, which means that it's a win for the contractors. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think there are many sectors in the UK, excluding oil and gas, that have taken a blanket approach. I think the oil and gas community, with the support of organisations like Oil and Gas UK, had looked at the legislation and tried to give some guidance on that. I think depending on the size of company and depending in their part in the supply chain, everyone is taking reasonable care and making sure that they're looking at the changes and how that has a cause and effect through the supply chain.
So whereas there was a fear, I think, from a lot of recruitment companies in particular, that this legislation might be very damaging to them, that's probably no longer the case. I think we've heard from a lot of the parties within the supply chain this morning, and the vast majority seem to be on board with that. What kind of other challenges do you see from a contractual perspective working with the supply chain as a recruitment company?
Yeah, I mean, in oil and gas specifically, we work in a very regulatory environment. We've always had contractual heavy processes, from your contracts with the operators to the tier contractors, then right down the supply chain, One of the key issues, I think, now that time is against us, that's very evident is I don't think people maybe understand that there's a cause and effect to any change. There's a cause and effect to endorsement at corporate level. There's a cause and effect right through your departments, cause and effect through to, in particular, supply chain and contracts. And there's always a burden of that change in one department. And I think in the oil and gas industry, because we're very focused around indemnities and liabilities, how does that actually start to look under the new tax regime, and who will be expected to take what indemnities and liabilities? And I think law is one thing, it's very clear, but how's that interpreted through the contracts, and obviously getting companies, from whether they're a tier contractor, a supplier, a recruitment agency, right down to the PSC themselves, to understand change and what that actually means to them.
And what about the contractor? I mean, we've heard a lot about strategies employed by the supply chain and what they're going to be looking at. What advice, as a recruitment company who obviously has a lot of these guys placed within the supply chain of the energy sector, what advice do you have to the contractual community?
I think we've seen different behaviours and attitudes already with different announcements from clients. I think the first thing is this change. We're all having to navigate this change. This is legislation change. We're not making the rules. We're all having to comply with them. I think there was opportunities to object to some of these changes, which I think came a lot from the business community opposed to the contracting community. So I think there has to be an understanding from the contractors that change is going to affect us all. What you have to do as a contractor is be informed, and also decide your own destiny and your own strategy around how what are you willing to accept going forward as, at the end of the day, an individual who needs to earn an income.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us, Louise, and thanks very much for hosting, which was a very informative morning. And from a neutral perspective, what I think was a very positive meeting, listening to what's going to be happening moving forward from the supply chain, who are going to be looking at this on a case-by-case basis, which will really help the contractual community and keep the flexible workforce within the energy sector. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to emphasise to thank all our partners today, Adelshaw Goddard, Kudos, and Johnson Carmichael, for supporting that. I think it's a complicated subject and it covers different parts of legislation, but I think we all just need to help each other navigate those changes and be supportive across the clients and the contractors. So thanks, Dan.
Perfect. Thank you.
You.